Hey, what's good, YouTube? Welcome back to the Brown Gen. Welcome to our first edition of the Sunday Stack. So this is going to be a brand new weekly show. I know we used to have our Ask Me Anythings. This is the natural evolution. So we're going to have it a lot more consistent. I'm going to talk to you about what all this means and what you can expect going forward. And then we're going to get into the topics that you obviously are here to talk about. But first, if you haven't already, make sure you share the video, hit the like button, right? Always helps when you guys share the content and engage with the platform or the algorithm. Also, if you haven't already and you're watching on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, as well as follow me on Twitter. Now, if you want extra coaching, guidance, and support, because we obviously know crypto is tough, it's a jungle out there, and you may need some additional help, check out my paid services linked down below. So in today's video, I want to cover some basic topics, which we're going to keep doing every single time. So I'm going to have a new set of topics. And as always, I also want to give you guys the forum to be able to ask any questions that you may have, whether it's regarding specific things in the crypto market, whether it's around airdrops, or maybe you want to ask about Laudio, who knows, right? Whatever it may be, still have that opportunity. So let's get started with the purpose of the new show. And, we're going to get into all the other stuff after it. But first things first, I made this tweet yesterday, basically rebooting the AMA series that, maybe you guys love it. I don't know, but I know I get a lot of messages when I don't do it for quite a bit of time. And, one of my buddies, Cool Crypto, does a sort of show as well. He does a lot more shows, a lot more often. I can't commit to that. But what I do want to give you is value added content. So obviously I did a lot of prep for this, and I'm going to do a lot of prep for it going forward. And I'm going to basically give you out a schedule so you know exactly what to expect each week. It's going to be the exact same time on the exact same day. So every Sunday at this time, in this case, actually for me, it's Monday at midnight, but I thought this time would work best. So the working title is Sunday Stack, and I'm going to get into some of the other details because there are two opportunities. So the first thing is, as I focus a lot more on video content, I do want to break out onto TikTok, onto Instagram, as well as on YouTube. So I will be looking for an editor. There may be two editors, one for shorts, so the short form content, and then one for longer form content, because obviously I don't have the time to put all those fancy graphics and everything else. I used to do that when I first started this channel. Let me tell you, it would take me I'm not very good at it, so it would take me 5 or 6 hours to edit and sort of streamline a 4-minute, 5-minute video. So when I wasn't getting enough views, it was obviously not worth my time. There's nothing worse than doing all that work and getting 10 views, but I'm willing to pay for it. So DM me on Twitter if you have some examples and your rates. Obviously, we'll sort of come to an understanding. And then also, if you aren't sort of aesthetically you don't have the editing capabilities, I'm going to continue finding new ways to give people in here opportunities. So the first one is, this title of the show is called Sunday Stack. And I honestly got that from ChatGPT. I don't know if it's the best title, who knows? But if you can come up with one better and you post it under this tweet, and by the way, I've linked to it, if I use it, I'll give you $100 sent straight to your wallet. I'll let you know I'm going to use yours and whatever. So, hey, drop your best ideas, and would love to sort of get those creative juices flowing. Now, the idea behind the whole purpose of the new show, as I mentioned, is consistency, but hopefully we'll have this time slot that you guys can come sort of prepared for. I used to do this with DeFi Kingdoms a lot before, where every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern, I used to host a show very much in the same kind of very similar sort of direction. And the viewership of this show kept growing every single time until I quit DeFi Kingdom. So want to do that and see sort of how the reception is. You guys let me know in the comments or in the chat what you think about it as well. So with that, we'll get to the second topic, which is how to play the market correction. And yes, there is a market correction. For those of you who are in the Web3 Secret Society, in office hours about 3 or 4 weeks ago, I let you guys know that this was the maximum risk on opportunity. And what I mean by that is every single time you have had a correction, people are very careful. They're like dipping their toe in the water. Ironically, when it comes to financial markets, once you've got a clear bottom, the best time to add risk is then, because you have so many people who are sidelined. So 3-4 weeks ago, right, start of May, a lot less people were in the market. People were still stabled up. People were still worried. That was the time to go hard. We saw things like Fartcoin 4x. We saw virtuals go from like 60 or 70 cents to $2.50. And now the correction is happening. And this is normal, right? You sort of have the ebb and the flow. And I want to sort of give you a sort of idea on how to play this, because I still believe we're in a bull market. And the easiest thing, if you can't control the way you trade, if you're unable to say, hey, I'm going to sell now and buy later, and you got worried, because the market does not make it easy. The market, when you sell, they want you to think it's going to go higher. So they send the price a bit more and then they pull the rug out from under you. But you can literally close your eyes and go, okay, you know what? I'm not going to get shaken out of my bags. That works too. Because you know what? At the end of the day, it doesn't matter if it goes up, then down, then up. If you're up the whole way, then you're good. But I know a lot of people, they say all that stuff, and then when the correction happens, they start capitulating. I said the same thing back in February when, in early February, when I said, hey, I'm selling all my ETH at 2,800. We're going to go to 2,100 and then potentially 1,600. A lot of people told me, no, that doesn't have to happen, blah, blah, blah. And then when it happened, but some of these people said, hey, if it goes down, I'll buy more. But what happened when the market went down? They didn't buy more. In fact, they wanted to capitulate at the bottoms, emotionally drained. They were over it. And that's because the people we're playing against, these market makers, are geniuses, right? They're going to have you feeling like this. So let me give you some ideas on what you should do. So number one, don't listen to Alex Becker. Alex Becker is an idiot. He will be yelling buy the dip literally until he goes senile, which maybe he is right now, don't know. But regardless of all that, and despite how juicy some prices can look, you want to care about your timing. But because even if you get a 5% discount on something, once it drops another 20-30%, you're going to feel like a fool. So I always say the following, which is number one, avoid buying a lot on weekends, especially in these moves, because weekends are typically low volume. And Mondays will likely be when you see the actual move. The second thing is, when you're going to jump in, don't jump in too early, because what'll happen is, even if you don't capitulate at the bottom, you really lose your leverage and your ability to buy more when the real drop hits. Imagine you're like filled to the brims with Ethereum, and then Ethereum goes to 1,500. How many of you actually bought Ethereum at 1,400 or 1,368 or whatever it was back in April? I know a lot of people didn't do it. Why? Because they bought too early, and that was it. So you've got to give future you the best chance possible. And I was sitting with my dermatologist actually a few weeks ago, and she was saying something very similar to me. She was telling me, hey, like, I wish I knew to buy Bitcoin back at 74,000. I'm like, hey, you should have followed me on YouTube and whatever, right? And all that. But at the same time, she was like, what do I do? Because she had no idea, right? And I literally asked her to bring up this chart, right? The Fear and Greed Index. And basically, this has been a phenomenal chart. And the reason for that is, if you just like take yourself out of this and ask yourself, if you sort of look at it historically, when were the best times to buy? Well, the best times in most recent history were at extreme fear. When was the next best time to buy? Within fear, right? Within fear, you got some pretty good prices, right? So Bitcoin's 58,000. went to 67,000, right? Like it's really hard to lose here, right? These fear periods, as much as we are worried, they don't last that long. In fact, take a look over here. From February 21st to April 22nd, that was fear to extreme fear. That was the longest we've had in a while. So even if you do nothing else, if you literally pay zero attention to anything else that I say, make it a habit. And I'm not saying like you can't buy outside of it, but make it a habit for your biggest purchases to happen below this 40 where we're in fear and extreme fear. Your portfolio will thank you. On the contrary, every time we get to extreme greed, you need to be selling within a couple of days. I'll be honest with you, sometimes, it will look like you have a couple more days than you think. Most people, when they get to this stage, their emotions take over. And this is when they start thinking, hey, like if I make another 2 or 3 or 5x, my life has completely changed. But you know what really changes your life? By capitalizing over here, selling, being able to buy when we're back down here, and then doing the exact same thing. You make way more multiples doing this. You feel way better. You sleep at night. It's just so much better for your mental health. And I know many of you who've only gone through it once or twice will never sort of know that feeling. But once you start doing this, I promise you, you're going to start feeling great. And you're going to be like, why is everyone complaining? Why is everyone whining the price is going down? Because you would have dumped here, right? That's why over here, I have not sold my Bitcoin. But it was like early December. So right here, on this date, I dumped all of my Bitcoin. It's when I was in Canada, right? Over here, I still haven't had the chance to dump the remaining Bitcoin I had, although those in the Web3 Secret Society saw when I was selling my Bitcoin like a couple weeks ago, right? And I suspect we're likely going to come down here, probably not go to fear, maybe we do, but I expect us to go to extreme greed in the next couple months. And that's where I'll be taking the majority of my portfolio off the table. A lot of people, once again, will be telling you then, no, don't do it, blah, blah, blah. Remember, they're not financially incentivized to help you. No one is. The only person responsible for you and your bags is yourself. Every single person has a financial motive to make sure that you don't sell, right? Because every time you don't sell, it means their bags are worth more. I know it sucks to hear that, but that's just the reality of it, and you need to understand this. So to summarize, when you're buying in fear, solid entries. When you're looking at extreme fear, this is a generational opportunity, right? That was Bitcoin at 74,000. And if we think back to last week, 115,000 is what, like a 60 or 70% move in Bitcoin, one of the safest assets you could be holding in this space, right? Remember, there is no world where Bitcoin fails, and for some reason, Caspa will do very well, right? Caspa of all things. So just keep aware of that. No matter what people tell you, they all have financial incentive for your behavior. And the only one who should really care and who should really sort of make the decision is you. Don't let anyone sell shame you. Don't let anyone sort of put you in fear or FOMO of selling at extreme greed. Never let it happen. Taking a look at the prices here, I find it ironic that the price of Bitcoin continues to go up and the price of Ethereum just continues to get worse. Like, I don't know how many times Bitcoin can just sort of be above 100K, and every time the price of Ethereum is less. 4,000, 3,300, 2,800, 2,500, right? Like, I do think that its day will come, but it's just really funny. One thing I will tell you is it has been a really rough cycle, right? Very, very rough, very, very hard. This is my third cycle. It has been the hardest cycle ever because everything is so fleeting. We've got so many new tokens being injected nonstop. There's another token every single day. And you always have some idiot out there who will always tell you, no, hold it. Hold the line here. It's going to rip. Don't be the sucker. If you see a new token out there and somebody is nice enough to give you some supply, maybe you earned it through Kaito, maybe you earned it through an airdrop, whatever it may be, hey, sell it, move on, and either keep it in cash, like I'm going to show you what I do, and I always reinforce this, or what you can do is just say, hey, what do I believe in? What do I actually have conviction in? Buy that. Don't go out and just hold these random tokens because for some reason you think it's going to do okay. Now, Let me show you the Bitcoin chart because this is the most important chart. Every single one of you who is watching this, I really hope that you guys have TradingView, number one. Number two, I hope that you have the 1 week. So the time interval I look at is the weekly. And the reason for that is if you ever want a very good indicator. So I showed you fear and greed, right? And I've showed you this before. Look at the 50 weekly EMA. This is the literal bouncing point of Bitcoin in the intact bull run. Once Bitcoin fails that, this is literally like when Bitcoin starts crashing, right? So if we take a look back, I'm just gonna sort of go to, where is it? So we're right here, right? Let me just make sure you guys can see this. Right here, March 10th, we bounced off it. April 7th and March 31st, we bounced off it. This orange line is the 50 EMA, right? 50 weekly EMA. Over here in September, we bounced off it. Look at this. Literally, it is such a really good indicator, right? And you can see here, when we were in a bear market, we were below it. Right here, we were below it. Now, if you go back to last cycle, right? So this is like 2020, 2021. Let me just make this a little better for you guys. Sorry. I wish this like auto fit to the page to make it easier. But you can see here, right? It respected it. It came back. It bounced here, right? So this is the line again, right? Bounced here, bounced here, bounced here. Dipped below it, bounced above, came back, broke through here. And this was the start of the bear market. Through here, down, boom. And that's literally what created. So this is such a very good indicator to have. If nothing else, I use this indicator to tell me when to buy stuff as well. Remember, it's not just one factor, a confluence of factors, which is multiple things, multiple signals, gives you a way better probability. So right now, like we are so far above the 50 EMA that like it's really like extended and not the best purchasing time for Bitcoin. I'm not saying you can't purchase it. It's not the best time. Better time would be when we come in this area. So what we're going to see is the 50-week EMA come up here, probably to like the 92, 97 mark. And that's likely where we see Bitcoin sort of cross, but we'll wait for that. So that's really sort of what I'm looking for. And like I said, you guys don't need to be experts on technical analysis. I sort of outsource a lot of this stuff as well. So I understand it. But for example, I always recommend you guys listen to what Jackus says. I think Jackus is a genius when it comes to this. And sort of, it doesn't change. But I want you guys to sort of have these two things in your back pocket. Okay? So the next thing I want to talk to you about is how airdrops have changed. Okay? Sorry, I see a question here. Can we use the 4 EMA together? Yeah, so on TradingView, and it's a 50 weekly EMA. You can use one indicator on the TradingView free version. So you don't need a paid version at all. You don't need it, okay? So yeah, so let's talk about how airdrops have changed, okay? Because airdrops have evolved, kind of, for better or for worse. If we think back to Arbitrum or sort of back in the day, right? Like you would get like $10,000 for filling in a form, for adding your email address, for signing up for a testnet, right? You guys probably remember maybe some of you remember Aptos, right? But airdrops have really become the way that retail makes money this cycle, right? I mean, when I say retail, I mean us, right? People who are around. Whereas what happens is it has become so commoditized and so farmed that the opportunities aren't that great. So what was very lucrative a couple years ago in the sense where it was like you signed up for a testnet, you got like $5,000. You farmed Arbitrum, you just button mashed on there, you got like $30,000 for very minimal work. Now it's become a lot more complex, it's a lot more competitive, they're very diluted. And what we've started seeing is a push toward liquidity-based airdrops. And what I mean by that is you need money to make money once again. And this is good and bad, right? Like there are some liquidity-based airdrops that are completely worthless. And when I say completely worthless, what I mean is like think back to Eigenlayer, think back to EtherFi season 2 or beyond, Renzo, blah blah blah. Most people lost a lot of money trying to farm points specifically through the yield tokens. I will be talking about YT Kaito later, NW, just so you know. That's why I'm not ignoring your question, but I will. I literally have it marked out to cover. But basically, the way all this works, right, is when it comes to airdrops, you've got to evolve with the times, and you've got to find ways to make more and keep the money that you make. Okay, so I want to show you an example. So I was at Token 2049 at a VIP cocktail event with Backpack, which is like the team behind Mad Lads. They invited a lot of people, and they had a couple of whales there. And I remember the whales, like they were like bragging about like, you know, some of the games they had, and they showed me their portfolio. You know, people are very open and honest in Dubai when there is no like risk of crime, right? Like literally, like nothing's gonna happen to them, so they're okay like flexing, right? But this like won't. There was actually two whales, but basically what they did was they were talking about Huma Finance, and basically this was a protocol that I made a video on that you just lend out your stables to, right? And I did it for 3 weeks because they said it would be end of May, and I got 10,185 Huma token. I ended up selling this for like 900 or 950, I think. I can't remember exactly the amount. It was close to $1,000 for 3 weeks for 15,000, right? So if you think about it, I had to have $15,000, but 3 weeks to get $1,000 from 15,000 is not a bad deal, right? Don't know what the APY on that is, but like think about it this way: that went on for another like what is it, full year, right? That's like 52 divided by 3. So I would have more than doubled my money and whatever. So very good APY, but it also had the upside of letting me use stable coins to farm it. And the reason I say this, right, is sometimes I'll give you an example of where this has not worked out for me. I used Sonic token to farm the Sonic airdrop. The Sonic token has gotten absolutely destroyed. So like, even though my Sonic ad cost base was 50 cents, it went to $1.10. I didn't sell anything, or I sold a tiny bit, but I held most of it because I wanted to earn the airdrop through liquidity. But if I just held USD instead and did farm that way, I would have insulated myself from price erosion, which happens in these sort of ebb and flow environments, and also getting the airdrop. And this is sort of something I'm moving toward, which is anything I can do. And it's funny, I was talking to someone on Telegram earlier about this. If I can isolate any sort of downside variables, even if there's potential upside, if I can remove that, I will. So right now, I am prioritizing airdrops that associated with stable coins. And the reason for that is the only risk I have is their platform, but if it's audited and everything else, you know, smart contract risk is very low. And that exists, you know, regardless of what token. But at least if the token gets destroyed or dumped or whatever, I'm still getting my cash. I'm still getting my USD, right? Or whatever. So this is sort of the movement for that. Now, while I say this, once I got Huma token, it's so funny. Like I'm not gonna rag on Kaito XBT, but I don't even understand why Kaito XBT held. She was saying she expected a crime to happen to the chart or something. But like honestly, my whole thing has always been, if you guys have read my airdrop article or whatever, I talk about if you would not buy this with cash in hand, just sell it. And one of the things I do, and I shared this article before, is I basically will sell every single airdrop that I get, unless there's something outstanding like Hyperliquid, and I will send the money to a separate wallet, keep it in stable coins. And the reason for that, and I want to cover this again, is a lot of people, once they get money, it's like it's burning a hole in their pocket. What you don't want to do is get an influx of $5,000. You look at the timeline, and you know Bitcoin's at all-time highs, and Ethereum's actually over $5,000. You know, that's how you know it's a dream, because it's over $5,000. But you put that money into play. But sometimes the best move is not making a move. So one of the things I always say is just put that money aside and keep it for a rainy day. Maybe you want to sort of treat some family or friends or whatever, right? You want to go celebrate some wins, because that's also important, right? Like, remember, at work you get vacation, you get bonuses and all that stuff. But once you start making money here, a lot of people just will spend all their free time in crypto and really not get anything out of it. So reward yourself, but also keep that money, like sell it, keep that money in stables until there comes an opportunity where it's actually worth spending it. I used to find, and my biggest leak, and I'm going to talk about this, was the more I earned, the less I was focused on how I deployed that capital. So I got like 40,000, a little rounded up to 40,000 USD off ZK Sync. And then I just started being very reckless with it. And because of that, like, I put myself in spots where I shouldn't have. Even though I sold my airdrop and everything, I didn't exercise temperance. And I think if you exercise temperance, you will have a way better time. Okay. So why do I recommend you separate your profit? Well, even though you may have FOMO and everything, a lot of people feel like they need to put the money in play, but you also want to see how you're doing, right? Some of you are considering going and doing crypto full time if you're not already. But if you have no idea how much money you're making, how exactly are you going to sort of know how to sort of, figure out, like, is it worth it? Can you do it? And everything else like that, especially if you buy tokens that continuously fluctuate. So I basically will go in track. So in the month of April, for the docs cluster that I shared, I made 17,000. I shared, I think it was yesterday, or May 30th. I made $42,200 on my docs set of wallets off the back of, $10,000 in Kaito airdrops, about $2,000 in other airdrops, trading virtual Genesis agents, which this month I'm going to make a lot of money if this stuff unstakes in time. And then obviously spot and perp trading. And by the way, spot and perp trading is the other form of airdrop farming that you can do. I made a video a few weeks ago talking about on-chain activity, and spot and perp trading, especially perp trading, made up a lot of that. And the reason I say this is, yes, you can use neutral cost basis trading, right? Delta neutral cost basis trading, but also because you're putting like stable coins or whatever in there to back up your trades, right? Perp trading, if you don't know how to do it, don't do it. But at a minimum, you could always do the sort of the delta neutral strategy, where you basically pay the fees, but you make more money off the perp dex farm. Okay. So obviously for me, it was clear that Kaito is where my time is best spent. And that's actually why I want to get into how we leverage Kaito. So remember how I told you I put $15,000 into Kaito for into Huma Finance for 3 weeks? Well, how would you feel if I told you that my staked Kaito tokens, my Genesis NFTs, and a few tweets on Huma Finance made me $2,200 by itself, right? $2,250 without really like the capital. Yes, I had as Kaito, or staked Kaito, but that was happening regardless. And I made twice as much as putting 15K in. And I had a very similar experience with a friend who told me that they put $200,000 into Prompt, the Wayfinder token for the caching, for caching Prime. And they got a lot less than the people who just spoke about it on Kaito. So literally, if you are looking for on-chain rewards right now, at least InfoFi and Kaito are the best, right? That's the best way to do it without the money, right? So that's what I would do. If you haven't done so already, go onto Kaito and sign up. I'm telling you, I keep telling you guys this, it is never too late to build a brand. A lot of people will come here and try to leverage a brand that they never chose to build when they need it, right? How many people do you see on Twitter who got drained or something else like that, and they go in and sort of, they're able to get people to repost and do everything because they built a brand, right? You don't need to have 10,000 followers. You need to have 1,000 followers, right? Just start, post very good content. And one of the things I had a coaching client called a couple of days ago where I was telling this guy this. You want to make your content so good that the person who's looking at your content is like, I fucking hate this guy, but his content is so good, his alpha is so good, I have to follow him. That's where you want to be. You want people following you, not because they like you, but because if they didn't follow you, they'd be missing out. That's where you want to be. And if you can't get there, obviously you got to build the content for that. And how do you do it? You add value, you do it consistently. I'm sure there are people on here who it's like, oh, I hate this Brown Jen guy, but you still show up because you're like, hey, I like money more than I hate this guy, right? That's what you got to do. Every single one of you watching can do this. Every single one of you can sort of, can go for it. And the beauty about Kaito is not just about the yaps, which, for me are coming. They're coming now slowly, let me tell you. Like there were weeks where I got no yaps, right? Last couple of days I've been getting, fractions of yaps and whatever. If I take a look over here, there were 3-week periods where I got nothing and then I got like 22, 13, whatever. But don't worry about yaps. What you should be focused on with Kaito is 2 things. The staking the Kaito token, which I will talk about in a second, but their pre-TGE arena. And I like to look at their Yapper leaderboard. So going over here, I'll give you an example. So for Human Finance, I would post about them, right? And then I would get into their top 100 or whatever leaderboard. I still am, right? So you can see that right here. And that helped me get rewards, right? So this happened with people who are doing a bunch of other TGE boards, right? So right now I'm 63rd. So I haven't talked about Human in a while. Just don't feel the need to right now. But I'm starting to talk about Infinex, for example, right? So Infinex is one that I want to get on. Some people want to do Eclipse. You got DeFi app. For me, it's Infinex and DeFi app are the 2 that I want to focus on. But take a look. And I'm not telling you to go out there and talk about things you don't like. Figure out what protocols you like, what interests you, talk about them. Post things that add value. And that's the way, right? So for me, I like virtuals, but virtuals is not, there's no TGE for virtuals, it's post TGE. So I'm not really worried about this. And this one is diluted as hell. And the reason for that is you got a lot of people who know nothing talking about it. And I'll talk about that in a second, okay? Now, I earned $23,000 from Kaito rewards this year. And honestly, not too late. There are more rewards on the horizon. And if you want a piece of it, in fact, Infinex is happening in in a day or 2 or whatever, make sure you have some staked Kaito or grab some YT Kaito. And to help you with this, I put together an article, which by the way, I never find these articles, people don't like them for some reason. Like the ratio on my articles is so bad. 2,300 views, 12 likes. I don't understand. You know what I mean? But maybe I don't like my own posts. Maybe I should. But one of the things I talk about in this article, and I'll give you a quick TLDR, but I've linked everything down below. You can invest either with the NFT or the stake token. I mean, NFT is just not worth it right now. Even the founder has said it represents the culture and not the network. So, I do have to change the image. So unless you want a fancy PFP, I personally would not touch the NFT unless you've got extra money. And then you can decide between if you want to get staked Kaito or YT Kaito, which is yield token Kaito. The obvious differences between the 2, YT Kaito or the yield token Kaito version, it only lasts for the period of the pool. In this case, the current version of the pool ends on July 31st. So the value of the token will approach 0 because all you are getting is the rewards from it, right? You're not getting the price appreciation because you don't actually hold the actual Kaito token, right? That being said, it's a fraction of the price. So if you were to buy it right now, I think 5,000 YT Kaito is $700. Compare that to 5,000 staked Kaito. If we assume a price of $2, which I think it's a little below that, that's $10,000. Huge difference in price point. But obviously, you've got an idea of the reward schedule, right? So you can see here's all the upcoming rewards. And if you check the websites, some of them are on the horizon, like Infinex. So you can decide, hey, do I want to get the YT Kaito or the staked Kaito? I put a bunch of details down below to talk about that and all the things you can look into. So please do read this article. I do think it's worth your while. Listen, guys, I don't get paid for any of this, right? So I do this to help you guys. I think it's very important. I get people who come to me all the time, and I look at the mistakes that have been made, and I cover them. So number one here, link your damn assets with your wallets. If you don't do this, you're not going to get the rewards. So just go ahead, read this, and do it, okay? All right? Hope this helps. Now let's get into the next stage, which is what should you focus on? Because listen, once again, I used to have a team of direct reports, and one of my direct reports used to come to me with 20 or 30 things that she wanted to do. And it's not to say that these weren't the right things to do, but she used to sacrifice her own well-being. So obviously as a manager, I would say, look, what are your 3 most important things? And when I used to tell her this way, if you can't tell me what the 3 most important things are, it means that you don't know what's important, right? Everything can't be important. And while it's very easy to say no to a bad idea, it's very hard to say yes to an okay idea. We only want the best ideas, not okay ideas, not bad ideas, the best ideas. So putting all that into consideration, everyone's going to have a different frame to look at this. Here are my thoughts on what the most best or the currently best things to focus on are. So we've already talked about Kaito. Kaito is not included here, but I think Kaito is something you should prioritize. But from a farming perspective, here are the 3. The first is Hyperliquid. So you can do 2 things. Number 1, stack the Hyperliquid token. Second part of it is explore the Hyper EVM ecosystem. There is a Hyperliquid airdrop number 2 coming out. I mean, there is a November unlock for the tokens, but besides that, I think it's a very lucrative opportunity. I also think the Hyperliquid token is probably one of the better outperformers. In fact, it was 11th at one point. Now it's 12th. Hyperliquid, can you believe this? 12th in terms of market cap. I can't wait to see this kick out Cardano, right? It's just basically a little over a 2x to do that. And I really think that Hyperliquid will be in the top 5 eventually. It's that good. Remember, there's a moat there too, because the revenue share or the sort of fees of the protocol buy back the token. So you got that moat. So if you want to earn the airdrop, I do have a video I've linked down below, the 3 guides, the 3 things I'm about to talk about. But a lot of people will be out there posting a bunch of garbage because they want you to go to their referral links or whatever. I make it very simple in the guide. I'm not going to go through it step by step, but the idea here is just using the Hypercore platform. So you're staking Hyperliquid, right? You put some money in the vaults. You have some spot holdings. You use the perpetual DEX here and there, whatever. And then you go and do some transactions and borrow stable coins through Felix or whatever. But like I said, I have a guide on that. Get positioned early on Abstract Chain. I'll be honest here. I used to think that Abstract was kind of not worth it or whatever. So here's one of my Abstract wallets. Basically, I went in here. I put it you can see here. I got in this wallet. I have almost $900 worth of Newt and $670 worth of Abster. These are the top 2 meme coins on the Abstract ecosystem. They're the community sort of figured out memes. We saw what happened with Base and everything with the community figured out memes when Base exploded. When there will be the airdrop, which is happening in Q4, right? So maybe November, December. A couple things will happen. The liquidity injection, we'll see the top memes likely will go to $1 billion potentially, right? That's a massive increase from right now. I believe right now, what is new? 14 million market cap? Yeah, 14.71 million market cap. They're very, very small. Also, you want to be farming this. So you want to be gaining XP. I have an abstract guide talking about exactly what you got to do that. And also, I think there is potential if you have a pudgy penguin or a little pudgy for as we approach the airdrop for the prices of those assets to increase very, very much. For those of you who've forgotten what happened in November and December of last year, the Pudgy Penguins went from 14 ETH to 37 or 38 ETH at the high point, and the little Pudgies went from like 1 ETH to 4.5 ETH or 4 ETH. Big opportunity because people will want to cash in on the airdrops. People are sort of seeing that far away, and they don't think that those NFTs will get the airdrop, but they will. And Luca Nets has already said this many times. People like, he said it kind of like without saying it. He's like, if you think that all you get from a Pudgy Penguin or a little Pudgy is experience, I don't know what to tell you. You know what I'm saying? And finally, the last thing I think you should be focusing on is the Genesis launches. And the Genesis launches are probably, some of the best opportunities that exist on the market. And the reality is most people have zero clue what's going on. Like, I see what people post on Twitter and I'm like, why are you people happy to earn 1,000 points? Why are you people happy to get $30 or whatever, right? Like, if you guys have seen some of the things I have written on Twitter, some of the things I've shared, right? Like, we've been doing a lot of A/B testing to actually crack the code here. Weeks ago, all you had to do was stake Kaito and Yap, and you could just sell every day, and there was no penalty. They fixed that, which is fair. But now it's all about daily active bonus. And in fact, I have a video coming out soon. So I'll just show you the thumbnail. The secret they don't want you to know. So I want to share the updated strategy with some fine tweakings, because like I said, this is a very evolving process. And most people don't have the strategic backbone to figure out any of these things, right? Number one thing I want to do is win. And it's all about metagaming, seeing what everyone else is doing and making sure you make money, because people are slow to adapt. People, I don't want to say they're low IQ, but there's a lot of people out there who have a big platform who have zero clue what's going on. So I will continue to share this kind of stuff with you guys. And yeah, like I said, be on the lookout for this video. It should be dropping tomorrow. Okay. And finally, time for the Q&A. So it's about 45 minutes of me talking. So I'm just gonna go on mute for a second while I have a quick sip of my Coke Zero, and then we'll get into the questions. So if you haven't put any questions you have, please put them in the chat and I will make sure I get to it. Will not be giveaway brown. So I don't know what this means, but if you're referring to the giveaway I said would happen at 125,000 Bitcoin, like when the price of Bitcoin hits 125K, we're still going to do it. I'm going to set up something outside. We'll be doing it to the views of Burj Khalifa here in Dubai, and we'll be giving out some cash, right? I believe it's $2,500 split 5 ways. I think this was voted for. I got to check. Don't hold me to this. But yeah, so I think we will get there. I just don't think it's right now. But I think we'll get there in the next couple months. Fanman Evening Squire, 18 Celsius. I'm jealous of you. In Dubai, it's like 35 or 36. It is really hot here. Probably the one negative thing I have to say about this place is it is like an oven right now. But besides that, amazing. But glad to hear. The Yo-Yo here, how's it going? Hey, Greg, how's it going? Except the new show. Yeah, guys, also, please give me some feedback. What do you think of the new format? Do you like this sort of structured format more? Like before, I would just sort of put things together on the fly of what I wanted to talk about. But here, I literally I prepped this, I put the agenda together yesterday and I prepped it 6 hours ago and loaded everything. You guys let me know what you think. Hey, Snagadelic, how are you doing? 2 red, brown Jets, class act, love the plan, 2 weekly. Yeah, exactly. So now we got some consistency. That way you guys know it's going to be in your calendars and whatever, and we're going to sort of make sure we build the audience back up. Also, I want to sort of focus a lot more on YouTube content before Kaito comes to YouTube. The founder of Kaito Yuhu basically implied it was coming in a comment he made to Crypto Gorilla on Twitter. Still worth doing YT Kaito. So one of the things you have to look at, right? So I talk about this in the article, but maybe I'll just bring up the page. Just give me a second while I do this. Like I said, it's a balancing act, right? Because you want to look at the rewards you're getting from Kaito, and obviously it's hard to tell, right? It's definitely hard to tell. But what's the reward potential? And then when you go to the actual pendle pool, right? So here's the thing. If you have YT Kaito and you want to basically get rid of it, you can't zap it out into something that's not S Kaito right now. So that's kind of shitty, right? Like you can buy YT Kaito with ETH or USDC, but you can't sell it into that. Kind of weird, right? What I would recommend you do is go to this page, and I link this page in the article, right? All you gotta do is go to the swap, and over here, which is APY, click on price, and you can see the price of YT Kaito, right? So the idea, right, and I was telling this on the timeline a couple days ago, the market is inefficient at first, but it will figure out what the price of YT Kaito should be. So once people realize that once people have kind of accounted for all the rewards, the YT price will actually start going down slowly. Because remember, as we approach the final date, right? So this was July 31st. As we approach that date, I expect, or you should know, that on that date, YT Kaito is worthless because it's earning you 0 rewards at that point, right? This is like an options contract. So it only lasts for a fixed period of time till July 31st. So one of the things you can do, right? And I was telling some people who asked me about it. We know the Infinix reward is coming up this week. You could potentially get the Infinix reward and then sell the YT Kaito that you have into S Kaito. Then you have to go to the portal over here. So we go back to our friendly Kaito website. We go to the stake website. Once you have zapped into S Kaito, you have to go to unstake, and then you have to unstake. It takes 7 days, just so you're aware. Or you can keep it as S Kaito. Doesn't matter, right? But just to make that very clear, one of the things you can wait for a dip to get in and then flip it, right? I suspect that the market will figure out what the right price is. Right now, the price of 5,000 YT Kaito is $745. The price of 5,000 S Kaito is $10,658. Okay, and I say 5,000 because there are two numbers that matter with Kaito. Let me just go here. So, where are we here? Like I said, please do read this article because I cover everything that you need to know over here. I cover the numbers somewhere here too. Here we go. Every partnered program will set its own minimum threshold of S Kaito tokens required to earn rewards. So for virtuals, if you have greater than or equal to 5,000 S Kaito, you will earn Virgin points. Other rewards have required greater than or equal to 500. So I think the minimum S Kaito you should get is 500 if you're doing this. Now, two more things you have to know, or one thing I guess. The rewards can either be linear, which means that if you've got twice as much S Kaito, so go from 500 to 1,000, they'll double the rewards. Or they may be flat, which is okay. Doesn't matter how much S Kaito you get, you're all getting the same amount. So just keep that in mind. And for me, 5,000 is probably upper limit. If you have more than 5,000 Kaito, start looking at another wallet. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Okay? You like the name, eh? So you like Sunday Stack. All right. I mean, definitely check out the names that people put in. Where is it? Here. Amazing Sundays. Token Talk. The Brown Breakdown. The Weekly Mint. Weekly Wallet Watch. Sunday Snapshot. Sunday Stack Attack. Oh, that's Greg. I struck mine here. AMA Zing. Crypto Unplugged on Sunday. Crypto Unplugged, Sunday Unplugged. Stack Sundays. Wait, what is my one called again? Oh, Sunday Stack. Okay, never mind. I was like, wait a second. I've already forgotten. Alpha, After Brunch, Weekly Drop, Sunday Signal, all the stuff, right? Crypto Church. What? Value Vibe, Sunday Scoop, Sunday Sats, Sunday Yap. right? Yeah. So guys, post in here. I'll take a look at this and we'll put a vote up for what the best one you guys think should be, and we'll also have whatever the hell the show is called. I already forgot again. I don't know. I'm so bad. Is this a worth it trade on? I assume you mean Avantis. So just to sort of bring everyone up to speed, Avantis 5 issued like a delay in their token generation event. Very disappointing. We saw this happen with Orderly. This was the medieval themed perp decks, and it completely blew up their token generation event when it happened because they added so many more points and it was way more diluted and everything else like that. So for me, I'm basically done with Avantis. Like, I'm not going to earn any more points. I'm just done with it. Like, they spent so much time talking about how this is it, got to do the leagues, it's over, whatever, and then they did this, right? And I get it. Some people will defend it because, you know, they got partnerships and everything else like that. But just like holistically, when you delay an airdrop like that and it's just bullshit, like, honestly, I have never seen it turn out well. I have not seen one single delayed airdrop that has turned out well, right? Like, it just does not happen. So I personally would not do it. I would look at Lighter, which I talk about in that video, the on-chain thing. Also, Paradex is fine. Hyperliquid is also obviously very good. You can also use like DeFi.app, which I think is the on-chain video. I talk about it. They have perps now, and it uses Hyperliquid, so you get them 2 in 1. And I think it's very good because I think that could be a very good potential token generation event. Yeah, and I covered this already, and I saw you wrote a video coming up, so it's good. Any advice on how to get more YAP points? So first step G, what I'd recommend is you've got to also see like how much engagement you get, right? So I would recommend that don't do a lot of posts, right? And by the way, I am by no means an expert on this, as you can see, right? Like, I'm also learning Twitter as well. What you should do is make a few smaller, like fewer but more value posts, right? So maybe if you're posting 10 times a day, post like twice. But it's get in the habit of replying to a lot of people, right? Get in the habit of saying, okay, this is I want to talk about 3 topics. Find out who's talking about those topics and engage with them. Because remember, you get mindshare not just from your posts, but from replying to the people who are making posts about the topic. So if you can add value to their posts, they will start retweeting you and whatever, and that will get you a lot more eyeballs. Does that make sense? If you don't do that, you're gonna struggle. So they say reply guy. I don't like reply guy because most reply guys just send bullshit. If you're gonna respond to these people with high mindshare, be a critical thinker. Don't be disparaging. Don't argue with them, right? Because like what you don't want to do is have them mute you. I have a lot of people come on my post and they say things in a very obnoxious and rude way, like, "Oh, you obviously don't understand this." And then number one, they're almost always wrong, right? And like you just turn people off, right? How do you get somebody to think? Like you go, you can start off by saying, "Hey, I love your thoughts on this. What do you think about this? Because this is what I found." Boom. You know what I'm saying? Get in the habit of doing stuff like that. Remember, come across friendly, come across that you want to engage, but like not like, "Hey, yeah, bro, fire, amazing, fire." Like that's gonna get you nothing. Okay? Add value. I hope that helps. And also, so that's a ton of mind share. But if you're looking for YAP points, also like more of that too. But also make sure you're talking about stuff that's on the Kaito leaderboards, right? That's what they care about. Thanks for the A++ alpha. That's all. Yeah. Love it. Thanks, Mike Bennett. Much love. Sweet. I never got into virtuals. I don't know anything about virgin points or staking. It is not too late. And Wayne, I literally have the introduction video down below, and there will be another video with the updated strategy. So I made the initial core base video 2 or 3 weeks ago. I made an update video that is no longer relevant, really. Because we're like things have changed. And I have the next video coming out tomorrow, which will tell you about the actual optimal strategy for virtuals. Okay, like the most current one, because this continues to evolve, right? As people change, I got to keep changing the strategy to make sure I get the maximum. So I would wait until tomorrow, but watch the baseline video that's in the description below. And obviously, let's see, you have the YouTube icon, so just maybe that's just there because you're on YouTube and not on Twitter. But if you're not subscribed already, do so. And then when you get the notification for tomorrow's video, watch that video. It will literally be outlined. And please, guys, I know a lot of people, including my coaching clients, sometimes you guys skim stuff. Just read the damn thing. Watch the damn thing in full. Don't be distracted, because if you miss a key piece, it can cost you everything. These strategies are very intricate, and you have to make sure you know exactly what you're doing, okay? Is it good to buy hype to do the EVM or wait for the dip? Anything below $30 for Hyperliquid is good. Like I said, the way I look at this toolet is if you already have exposure, then don't rush to buy more. But if you have no exposure, then what you can do is say, okay, I'm going to buy like 5% now of my target 100% position, right? So let's say you want to get 100 Hyperliquid tokens and you have 0. I buy 5 tokens right now. Then if the price goes down to, I don't know, X, you buy the next 15 or 20 or whatever. You get what I'm saying? That's how I would focus on it. But if you've already got exposure, just wait for better prices. I think, not that I expect insanely good discounts, but I expect below 30 on Hyperliquid for sure. Hey, Courtney, what's my exit strategy? So my exit strategy is a little different than most. So I'm fortunate that, number one, I live in Dubai, right? So in Dubai, I can literally go on the street and give someone crypto and get cash. Just literally how it works here. Like some people, because the way it works is there's a lot of high net worth people here, right? And some people will want to onboard their cash into crypto, right? And if you go on Binance or some other fee things, they charge like 5 or 6% or something, right? The shops charge you 2%, but there's a lot of people who want to put money onto the blockchain and they're trying to buy what's called spot, right? Spot rate. But if you know people, a lot of people come to me and ask me, hey, like, do you have some crypto you want to sell? Because right now, more people are trying to get into crypto than get out, right? Maybe that changes later. But at worst, it's like 1 or 2% fees or whatever, and then go in. So that's sort of how I would off-ramp. My exit strategy as a whole, though, I want to go back to this. Once I see Bitcoin break the 50 EMA, right? Number one, I will be looking to exit all of my altcoins at the next extreme greed. Out completely. Will only be in Bitcoin and then to a lesser extent Ethereum, and then obviously Hyperliquid. Those will be the 3 I hold, right? And then what will happen is once Bitcoin goes breaks 50 EMA over here, or gets close to doing that, or we see the topping, I'll get out of all of it. Do you understand what I'm saying? That's sort of my plan here. And I will be shaving off Bitcoin as we go higher and higher and higher, right? Because my goal is not to be bag holding Bitcoin from this cycle to next cycle. I know a lot of people always love to say this cycle's different. And last cycle, I heard the same nonsense, right? So Bitcoin was 69,000. Let's just go back here. And I remember I was convinced. So I sold here. I sold on this candle right here, 2 weeks prior to the top, right? So I didn't get the top on ETH. I didn't get the top in Bitcoin, but I sold 80% of my ETH in Bitcoin, posted on Instagram and everything. And when I told people on YouTube, they were like, this guy is an idiot. Later, it dumped and somehow everyone was already sold. I'm like, yeah, okay. People always will tell you after, yeah, I sold last week or whatever, right? But I held 20% of both those tokens, and that was my biggest regret. I literally held 20% of my Bitcoin that went from $69,000 all the way down to 18 or 17,000 US. And same with ETH, right? ETH went from 4,000 something to 800 or 900, something ridiculous. So this cycle, I will have 0 cryptocurrency going into the next bear. And the other reason for this is I will be looking to get into gold. I'm looking to get into gold because we are at the tail end of the 18.6 year real estate cycle. So for those of you who don't watch Jason Pizzino, who covers this very well, I think it's very, very important you be aware of what is on the horizon. It has literally played out much like you guys have talked about, what's it called? Crypto bear, bull and bear cycles. So let's just go over here. We are literally in the winner's curse phase, right? And 2025, likely mid 2026, we're going to see a massive collapse, major recession. Last time this happened in 2007, 2008, and literally just keeps playing out. So I will be looking to protect my money by looking for a good flight of safety before it gets overvalued. And for me, that is gold. Okay. I'm not showing this to scare you. I'm showing you this so that you're aware and you are not caught off guard, because a lot of people will come to you after and go, man, I wish I did this. Right. And you don't have to go like 100% in gold or whatever, but just start once you have money, you start worrying on how to protect it. Right. So exiting crypto, I think, will be the right move. And then the second thing you want to do is make sure you're not sitting in just cash or putting into real estate, because that's going to dump. That's actually why I sold my home. The reason I sold my home last year, right? Yes, obviously I moved to Dubai, but I didn't go and put all that money into a property yet because of this. Okay. Do I think getting verified on X will help you grow? I think so. So two things here. If you're verified, it's harder to get like spam filtered or whatever on X. And also the algorithm pushes more things to you or pushes more of your content, right? Not going to be something insane, but I think it is worth it. Also, when people start impersonating you or whatever, you definitely want that. So I think it's worthwhile. You get access to some other services. I pay for the premium account on X, which allows me to write articles and everything, but that's way too expensive. So you don't need the premium one, but verified is good. Take on Mega ETH, friend, if any. I don't really have much of a say on Mega ETH. So here's my thoughts. We have Ethereum, and Ethereum was completely unusable, right? Like the longest time, like before the blobs and everything else, it was just too expensive to transact on. Even now, I hate it. Like, do you guys like transacting on mainnet Ethereum where you pay like $1 or $2 per transaction? It sucks. It sucks, especially because it's a flat rate, not variable. So like you're doing a 10-cent transaction, $2. $1,000 transaction, $2. So it's shit. So obviously they came up with L2s, right? The idea here being layer 2s will help alleviate the load and everything else. But then everyone and their mom did one. Do we need more than base, right? Like I look at L2s and go, base, corporate and everything. Abstract is likely going to be the consumer version, right? It's kind of like Twitch and all that stuff, right? You play games on it and whatever. They've got a reason. And any single L2, the only way it thrives is if it's got a killer app. Arbitrum has Hyperliquid. Abstract has an airdrop campaign and everything, but after the airdrop campaign, if they don't have their apps, people will leave, which is why they're focused on gaming, which is why they're focused on sort of Privy Wallet, making everything super consumer friendly, right? That's what they want to do. Brand as a consumer chain. Base has virtuals, and it's basic. Base is basically the reason to no longer go to Sol. I know people who love Solana will hate that, but that's just a reality of it. The only reason Solana took off is because people were sick and tired of using ETH and paying infinite dollars, which is why Solana became a Jeet Fest, because it was so easy to buy and sell things. You know where it's really hard to buy and sell things? The Bitcoin network. That's why people who buy Bitcoin, their NFTs or inscriptions or whatever, they're like rarely sell them. Why? It takes like an hour to sell and do all this nonsense, right? And on Ethereum, that's also why people were very much holders, which is why when you look at meme coin communities, it's a lot of meme coin communities, super GD, right? Like in and out, in and out, in and out. Ethereum ones hold up way better, right? Think about SHIB, think about Pepe, right? They hold up way better. Look at Mudang. Mudang's just out, right? Mudang and like Fartcoin and everything. Like Fartcoin is the best meme coin they have right now, and it was like bleeding out bad recently. So yeah, my whole thing here is like Mega ETH. I don't really see the value proposition unless they have a killer app that nothing else has, that is so good that it justifies using it. You know what I'm saying? Like if Arbitrum didn't have Hyperliquid, I think Arbitrum just folds, like straight up folds. Like, who's going to use it, right? You know what I'm saying? Same reason. Who's using Linea, right? Like Blast had Fantasy Top, but now Monad has it, and I think another chain is going to have it too. So like once again, killer app for the L2. Otherwise, there's no reason to fraction our liquidity, and I think you don't really notice any difference between Mega ETH and Base unless, and this is where my inexperience comes in, unless Mega ETH has finally solved the issue of, hey, 1 million people want to mint or get into this pre-sale or whatever, and the website's not crashing or all that nonsense. You know what I'm saying? That has never been solved, no matter how much people love to talk about scalability. That's the biggest issue. If there's an ETH that has that solved, I think that can actually be it, because then people will start building there preferentially. I don't know if Mega ETH is there though, but that's also my ignorance. Definitely like the new format. Thank you for the feedback, Daniel. We like it. Make more easy. I'm new for airdrop. Wait for next video. Sounds good. So yeah, I will still have the airdrop video update series, but like I said, most of it, like I've linked down below the 3 that I think you should focus on: Hyperliquid, Abstract, and Virtuals. Virtuals are not airdroppy, but I mean, you will get airdrop tokens if whatever. But there are some nice airdrop stuff going on as well. Yeah. Should we be waiting for a dump? Yeah. So JP, good call. In fact, earlier today I sold some more virtuals, right? So let's just go here. Guys, this is also why I share my private, it's not a private wallet, it's actually my YouTube wallet. But look, you can see here, I sold another 575 virtual for 1,200 USDC. And if I go over to this, you can see this, like virtual. Right, sold 2,000 virtual for 4,200. Look how much money I saved by selling here, right? This is almost $1,000, just so you guys know. Look at this. The 5,000 virtual I sold is now worth 9,650. I got 10,580, right? So I sold it. I posted on Twitter as well that I sold it, 7,000 at $2.15 each. I would not be buying back for a while. Like I said, go back and focus on Bitcoin. Bitcoin's going to correct. Bitcoin's going to go to 97,000 likely, maybe even 92,000 liquidity. When that happens, all coins will get massacred, like absolutely massacred. You'll likely get an opportunity if this happens for virtual below like $1.30, $1.20, right? Like $1.50 minimum, I think you'll get on virtual, but you'll get way better once you see Bitcoin just completely crater, okay? Plans for Plasma ICO. So I personally don't have I personally have a plan for the Plasma ICO. Is that, let me just look it up again. Is that the circle one? Which one is this again? Or is this like the XRP? XPL. Kobe launches. Yeah, I will not be touching this, but like I said, I personally don't see any reason to. But obviously, like I can be convinced otherwise when I get more information. Where does the 11% APY from staking Kaito go? Good question, Luna Classic. Good to see you here. So let me show you this, okay? So the way these tokens typically work, we saw this happen with Eigenlayer and whatever, right? When you put 1 Kaito right here, watch this, you get 0.95. So what happens is it's stored in the coefficient of the S Kaito, right? So 0.95 S, actually, maybe we can do this way. I can't touch this. 1.05 here. Let's show you here. Come on, load. So you can see here right now, 1 staked Kaito is equal to 1.05 Kaito. If I kept this for a year, this number would go up by 8%. Do you get what I'm saying? So over here, you would see the value. So 1 S Kaito would now be worth 8% more than what this currently is. Okay? So probably worth like 113 or 114 or 115. You know what I'm saying? So that's how it's stored. It's stored within the S Kaito. It just gives you more Kaito token back and stuff. That's what we saw with like, Easy ETH and everything else like that too. It stores the yield within the asset related token. GM here. GM, good. Thanks, appreciate it. Yeah, you're welcome, Wayne. Would I buy Fart Coin at these prices? Well, seeing that our good friend, what's his name? An idiot. Let's forget his name. I gotta look. The guy was so dumb. I responded here. Here we go. Alex Becker. Alex Becker, that's it. Fart Coins will do numbers from here. This man is, I spelled literally wrong, but has been wrong on literally everything this cycle. Time to jeep my entire Fart Coin bag. So I held 10% of my Fart Coin bag until he posted this, and then I dumped. Now, let's go take a look at Fart Coin. So Fart Coin is sitting at $1.15. Fart Coin cares a lot about the underlying asset, which is Sol. I personally think that we get a price, I think 92 cents is too high. I think like somewhere in the 80 cent range is where I'd be looking to buy. Yeah, 80 cents. That's probably where I'm looking. 115 is way too expensive for this, unless we see Bitcoin and everything else come back. Now, here's what could happen. Where's the brush here? What we could have happen is it goes like this, and then goes like this, right? Obviously not that low, but so it goes like this tomorrow, down, this, right? Like that. That's what I think could happen. So if we do get a pump tomorrow, I'll be looking to exit out of some of my bags, just that I, just to sort of free up some more money, because like but typically you get what's called like a lower high, right? So what happens is on the downtrend, the market doesn't go like this, right? I show you this like in February and March, right? It goes like this, right? And sometimes they send a little higher than thing, just to like kind of wick to kind of get people, oh my God, it's gonna go higher, and then boom. So this is sort of the trend you see, right? Just like when we went up, we don't go straight up, right? Courtney, thanks. Yeah, no problem. Bridge into Reddit. Oh, sweet. So you got that. Oh, you didn't get it. Yeah, that whole thing's annoying. The Mint Espresso NFT. I wasn't qualified for it because I didn't vote for them, but it like minted out on public really, really fast. I wish I was on the allow list. Mega ETH greater than Monad. Yeah. So I listen. I'm not saying Monad's good either. NW. You know what I'm saying? I don't think Monad's good either. But what I mean is, it comes down to why do you use the chain, right? The tech obviously will incentivize apps to go there. But if Mega ETH does not have a specific reason, right? So, like I said, for virtual we go to Base. For Hyperliquid we go to Arbitrum, right? Why am I going to Mega ETH? If someone can answer that question and is applicable to most people, then Mega ETH will see adoption. I hope it makes sense. Any news about Linea? Nope. God, these guys are the worst. I just want them to get it over with. Once it's over with, I will be deleting every Linea thing I have, taking my money off the chain, getting out of mitosis. I want mitosis and Linea to be done with. These guys have been going on forever, right? Got a bull post Linea. It's funny. There's always gonna be suckers out there who are willing to buy these tokens at a way higher price than they should. You guys remember Layer? I made a post about this on Twitter actually today. So Layer token went to $3 like sometime a few weeks ago, right? Look at this bullshit, man. What is this? So let me show you something. Let me go find my wallet address for Sol. So I'm going to filter by that wallet. Want to show here. So you can see here, so this is Layer. And what you do is if you filter and put it in your wallet address, it will literally show you like your transactions. How many times did you see me buy the layer token since the airdrop? Zero times. Literally sold, what is this? 2365, 966. I'm just literally selling every 2 days, with the exception of like this. Here, their website went down. I don't know if you guys remember this, but for some reason they got rid of their website. And then when it came back, I sold, what the hell? I would have sold more than that, but whatever. Yeah, so sold that, boom, sold all the way. On some days, like, look at this, I was getting $88, $79. That was nice. You know what I mean? $65, $60, whatever. And then it came back down, but all these people were, oh my God, layer's so good. It's going to be the best thing ever. We're going to accumulate whatever. And then look, they got destroyed. Meanwhile, I was just like, oh, I'm going to sell every single 2 days. It doesn't matter. So just reminds you guys, like, just get the hell out. Take your profits and get out of here. You know what I'm saying? I got like 5,000 something Soul Layer tokens, and I just literally every 2 days I get 29 tokens. I'm just out of here. If Bitcoin is back, there was no alt season. That's the problem. There has not been an alt season yet, right? We don't have QE, right? So until that happens, there's literally nothing to sort of indicate that. So what happens is this idea of alt season is it's very it's funny, I made a post about this. So I'm gonna find the image because Bold Leonidas actually has a very good graphic for this. And I think a lot of people have, you know, they're like very Alice Beckerish in the sense of, oh yeah, we gotta have an alt season. And ironically, people need an alt season to get even at this point. Like a lot of people were like, oh, they tried to front run alt season, didn't touch Bitcoin, and it's just insane like how poorly, not everyone, but a lot of people have performed because of that. Here we go. So got this right here. So let me show you guys this. So this is the post, right? Traditional concept of alt season no longer applies. There's just too many tokens out there so that capital can't just randomly go into random altcoins, right? If you think about like how it used to work like 2 cycles ago, even last cycle, I'd go on like Coinbase or some of the centralized exchange apps. They'd have 20 or 30 tokens listed. So what happened was every token that got listed, people would just shovel money in, right? Now there's too many tokens for that to happen. It just doesn't exist anymore. Now instead of 20 or 30 listed, there's thousands. And that's the problem with all of the tokens that get launched nowadays, right? All the meme coins, all the bullshit. And because of this, people need to find tokens that will outperform, right? So Bitcoin, if you were to zoom out, is going to outperform and beat everything, right? Given long enough time. Everything will trend to zero versus Bitcoin. But that being said, there will be certain pockets of outperformance where you can say like, you know, right now I'm talking about Hyperliquid. I think Hyperliquid will outperform Bitcoin in the short term. Once that happens, I will get out of it. Solana outperformed Bitcoin for a long period of time, and now it's getting completely destroyed by it. Ethereum hasn't outperformed Bitcoin in a long time. But for example, XRP in December to January outperformed Bitcoin massively, right? So this is why you've got to be more selective. This is no longer a, hey, any idiot can come in here and just blindly, you know, win. You've got to be a lot more discerning, and now strategy will pay off. So this is why it's the market is maturing, so that more intelligent and more kind of speculative and sort of more analytical investors are going to do better versus people who buy slop. So my advice to everyone here is this is why focus your main portfolio should be backbone Bitcoin, and then you buy, like you trade your Bitcoin or you sort of borrow against your Bitcoin to buy altcoins that you think will outperform in the short term. You shouldn't have a ton of them, and you rotate back into Bitcoin. You should not be sitting here going, oh my God, because a lot of people go, oh, I'm never going to get rich off Bitcoin. So what, you'd rather just go broke the whole time? Like most people who say that argument just end up blowing up their account buying garbage, right? For me, I don't want to be caught offside when the lights turn on. Like it's like, you know, when I put this, like there are some people who talk about like going to a party, right, when it's super dark and the lights come on and you're stuck with like the ugliest girl in the place or whatever. This is what's gonna happen when it comes to these coins. You're gonna be stuck with like the most odorous excrement known to man, to take a line from Margin Call. You don't want to do that. So my advice to you: stay away from garbage. Focus on things that you know people will want, to have moats. This is why I invest in Bitcoin and ETH, because you have what do you have? You have a moat, which is like people will end up buying the token. So this is like BlackRock and everything else. And then, you know, the same thing with Hyperliquid. Bruce Brown, eh? This guy. I hope not this picture. Yo, what the hell? Yo, what? This? That, eh? No way, Simply Games. So, like, damn, yo. There is another guy, but like, who is Sierra's husband? Like, people told me in real life I look like him, but I don't like him because he's a simp. Russell or whatever. People said I got this guy's face, and I hate that. Maybe when I was chubbier, I don't know. I was like, shit, yo. I mean, it is what it is, right? Okay. So, looks like the trenches. Yeah, so the thing is, so that's the layer token, right? Basically, you can find this on any chart. Just put in your wallet address and it will literally populate your transactions. And I have bought 0 layer token, 0. And I'm gonna keep it that way. I hear you on use of chains. Yeah. So, and I agree. Difference in performance, fantastic. How does that translate? What I expect to see is if the performance difference is actually significant enough, you will see people preferentially build there, right? And that's what Bread Guy and everything wants. They want to have, once you've built the home, people will build there, right? Like you set the groundwork, they build the app, then people will come, right? But until then, until there's a significant difference, right? You may see a small one, but it's got to be significant enough to cause a change. Because right now, all these L2s are very commoditized, right? Like they all look the same. I'm being kind of bullish on Succinct. Vitalik going to change from EVM to, yeah. I'll be honest, I don't really know what the hell a risk V is. I get ZK proofs, but that's cool. Like for me, once again, I don't like testnets. I know Succinct is on Kaito and everything. I hope you're yapping about it, NW, so you're making money off that, because, you know, I don't think too many people are talking about it. I see it here and there, but definitely would focus on that if I were you. Like, if you're in it and you like it and you enjoy it, yap about it. You know? Will you sell some ETH here to convert to hype? No, I will not. So one of the things that I want to do is, so ETH is one of my, it's not an outperformer, let me just tell you, but I think ETH's downside is like capped at like 2,200 USD, right? For me, I have a lot of stables that I want to deploy into Hyperliquid. At the same time, one of the other things that I do, and I've mentioned this on previous videos, is I will lend out Bitcoin or I will lend out Ethereum, or when I held a lot more Sol, which I've gotten rid of most of my Solana tokens at this point, at 170, just out. What I would do is I would lend my Bitcoin or my ETH, borrow stable coins, and then buy things and go long on things that I expected to appreciate. I'll be doing that with Hyperliquid. Have you ever played the World Series of Poker main event? No, I have not. Ironically, so I don't know if you ever watched Daniel Negreanu. Daniel Negreanu is like, you probably know who he is, obviously. But what I mean by that is he does a vlog every single year, and every single day of the World Series of Poker, like the series he did the Bahamas one in November, I think, but he's on day 5 of the World Series. He has this like insane like editing crew and everything. I would recommend you watching it on YouTube. It's very insightful to see behind the scenes. I've always wanted to play in the main event. The problem is it's a massive grind. I also would not recommend it for anyone who doesn't want to like lose all their money, because if you play way above like your regular tournament series, you will literally like you'll be like scared money. You know what I'm saying? Like playing a 10K, which is what the main event is, right? Is if you play like $100 tournaments before, it's like so hard to like make the right calls and everything else like that. So for me, I would want to go and probably play a few bracelet events first, and then eventually play like the main event, like maybe like the Millionaire Maker and the Colossus and all those things. I go to Vegas every year. In fact, we're going to Vegas in the fall with some friends, right? We always have a group of guys, like 10 or so of us. We actually did like a guys girl trip to Vegas one year. We're never doing that again. Horrible idea. So just guys from now on. But yeah, it was good times. But the only thing I would be confused about, and maybe it's easier for you because you live in the US, maybe, is there's a cap. Like when I was in Canada, you can't bring more than 10,000 Canadian across the border, right? So I got to figure out how to actually be able to withdraw cash there without triggering any of the fraud bullshit. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, no, it is on my bucket list for sure. My yaps are horrendous, been on it since day one. Well, I mean, 500 to 1,500 views are good, but talk about succinct. And I made the comment earlier to somebody, right? Which is, was it you? To somebody I talked about this, by yapping, right? Oh no, it's the first step. Literally make few posts, but then respond, be kind, be engaging, and don't challenge and make someone's back go up. But say, hey, like respond to people who post about the topics you do, and add to the conversation in a non-condescending, in a non-aggressive way. I think most people who come at it from a collaborative way, great. Some people who are piece of shits, no way. Krishan, is he like Tamil or whatever, or Brown or whatever? He's like a bigger guy? Now you're talking about NW? He plays at Playground a lot, I think, right? Yeah, man. I know who he is. I played with him at Poker Place. So that guy plays at Poker Place. I play with him a bunch. So yeah, I know him. I'm also Tamil, so I was like, yeah, I know who this guy is. Yeah. He's a cool guy. Love his vlog. Watch it every day. Yeah, I was just watching him earlier today. He was doing the FSD on his Tesla, right? Like he was showing like the literal like just chilling and watching it. It was good times. So, do I think that Soul has hit its top? So I don't think Soul has hit its top. But like, here's the thing. On the downside, Soul just gets crushed. What is there on Soul now? Like the meme coin trenches are dead, right? Think about, we saw what happened with Elon, right? And like all the extraction through Pump Fund. And now I don't really see much things happening with Soul. You know what I'm saying? So I personally just don't think it's a worthwhile hold. But like I said, I could always be wrong. I don't know, right? But yeah, like I don't know. It's just it's just hard. You know what I'm saying? It's just hard. So I personally wouldn't touch it. I'll be honest. I'm shorting Soul right now. I short Soul because Soul will outperform on the downside, and it doesn't really do that well on the upside. So it was actually sort of Jackson's idea, which is basically Soul's the best short in this market. So yeah, I personally don't like having Soul because of that. I think it's going to underperform from now on. Did you get out of Jupiter staking yet? I got rid of half of it. So I unstaked all the money I made from Good Cats and from Jupuary, which you guys remember I gave like a bunch of it away. The remainder I ended up unstaking after I got the Good Cats allocation, which was only 500 Jupe. So I got rid of both. I think I still have like 1,000 or 2,000 Jupiter stake, but really isn't that much. You know what I'm saying? So it is what it is. Let me just find it. Where is this? I'll find this here. Small world. Yeah. So the thing is, like, the Toronto poker community is not that big, right? So like, I used to play a lot, and listen, I used to tilt off. I used to tilt off so bad, and I used to be very mouthy at the poker table. So a lot of people know who I am from like a long time ago, not in a good way, obviously. But yeah, like at the end of the day, like there's like a lot of there's a lot of people who like sort of see, like, you know, talk or see each other or whatever, right? Like, I don't think I'm really talk to the guy, but like I think I played a couple times with him or whatever, you know. So it is what it is, right? Like if I see him, I recognize him and all that. But yeah, no, it's good. And by the way, like honestly, I find poker to be it's a very good way to get out and socialize and stuff, you know, because it's super chill, right? Like you can just sit around a table for hours and hours and hours, drink beer, whatever, you know, if you're with friends or something, you can do other stuff. But you know, it's just fun. So good times. What do you think the next cycle will be like? Will there be? Yeah. So there'll always be more cycles, right? So people are like, a lot of people now are going to the extent of saying we're going to have when we have a immature market, you have traditional like, oh, every 4 years, same thing happens, right? And I think to some extent that will be the case. But what we're seeing now is more like, you know, a few months of bull, few months of bear, few months of bull, few months of bear. Only problem is, because we're coming to the 18.6 year cycle end, I don't want to be around to see what happens, because the crypto did not exist like the last time we had this sort of massive recession type sort of activity. So I would rather be shielding myself and likely looking to come back in. So I will be completely out of the market by 2026, you know, whenever that is, right? Either the end of 25, early 26, mid 26, completely out, looking to pick up the discounts. I expect real estate prices to significantly crash, right? And this is actually where the biggest wealth opportunities are, right? To make the most money you can in the market, you literally have to find these opportunities. And too many people are afraid of missing out, and they gain like a few percentage, versus those who can like double, triple, quadruple their net worth with low risk because they got actually good deals. So put yourself in the best position for that. That's what I plan on doing. But yeah, that's still sweet. You did tattoos. That's awesome. That's awesome, man. All right, we've been here for about an hour and 35 minutes, guys. Let me know in the comments if you like the video, if you like the concept, if you think that, you know, other things need to be changed, what topics you'd like to hear about. Also, definitely hit me up on Twitter if you do think you're a good fit to be an editor, either for short or long form content. At the same time, you know, if you have some ideas for a new name, pitch that as well. As always, guys, you know, we got 160 viewers here. Thank you so much for watching. We'll be here every single Sunday. We're going to still continue with the regular content, but this is going to be our weekly show. So hope you guys have a good night. Thanks again for watching. I'll see you later.